Shrapnel grenade! Fire! Tyranids have no violent tactics. Unseen, I stalk my target. Their numbers are no match for our training. Friendly fire warning. Reporting in. I am a phantom of death. Fester and rot in Xenos abomination.
Nothing will escape this crew.
Throwing shock grenade. Reloading. Readying next volley. I am a phantom of death. Tyranids have no violent tactics.
Let us finish what the Cadians started.
Use the codes to prime the bomb and finish its deployment into the crude Promethean well. Cautiously, if you know what is good for you.
Concussive ordnance thrown. Rearming. The Xenos stealth beast tries to ambush us.
Next access line.
Readying next volley.
Initial deployment sequence complete. Now slow conducting on the science function.
Frag grenade out! Our Imperial tactics. Fester and rot. Abomination. Reloading. Frag grenade deployed. Twitching Xenos carapaces.
Proceed to the Cadian outpost and establish their fate. We must then infiltrate the refinery and complete demolitions deployment. Trigger detonation only when the main swarm has entered the blast zone. Captain Akaram will coordinate our efforts over box.
Deployed and ready.
Right, so LA riots.
Stealth.
Yeah. Anyway, to start the video off, I'm going to just describe some various charges, and you can use your own interpretation of what these charges say, and make up your own mind as to whether or not they are exactly what is happening with the LA riots. Alright, conspiracy to commit a crime involves an agreement between two or more people to pursue a course of conduct that, if carried out, would involve the commission of a criminal offence with the intent that the offence be committed. Wire fraud. It's a crime that uses telecommunications or the internet to deceive someone into making a fraudulent transaction or disclosing sensitive information. Seditious conspiracy. It's a criminal offence that involves a plot to overthrow the government or impede its lawful functioning, often through force or violence. The definition of terrorism: an act or threat intended to advance a political, ideological or religious cause and to coerce or intimidate a government or the public, causing serious harm, death or endangering life. Now, to me, it seems like pretty much all of those apply. All of those charges apply. All of them. It's ideological where the communists are concerned. So it's seditious conspiracy, clearly, because they're trying to prevent ICE agents following lawful orders, following the literal law, by, deporting immigrants, illegal immigrants, that sort of deal. Like, it's one thing to prevent ICE agents from deporting law-abiding illegal immigrants that are not doing anything wrong, that are paying taxes and everything like that. It's another to prevent them from deporting child traffickers from fucking Mexico and shit like that. The argument could be said that it's only like 30% that are the real bad ones. 30%, fucking little less than a third, okay. That's not a fucking great argument, and there's probably a ton of collusion between the ones that, are law-abiding, good people, and it's a fucking huge question mark whether they can pay taxes anyway, because they're illegal immigrants.
Precisely what we need.
Yeah, the whole thing is fucking wacky. Like, the left have completely lost their mind. But it's because they have never had to deal with the ramifications that the right usually deals with, right? Everything there I described, terrorism, seditious conspiracy, conspiracy to commit crime, how RICO applies to it, especially if George Soros is funding all of this through NGOs and third parties and all that sort of shit. All of that is fucking terrorism. Like, all of it's terrorism and seditious conspiracy. Those are pretty fucking serious charges. And the left seemingly gets away with it. Like, I'm not sure why it's getting away with it. Like, normally those crimes are fucking really bad. Like, some treason charges hold, like, a death penalty depending on the state secrets and everything like that are released. And, like, they're committing, like, mass assault, arson, all this sort of things. Like, assault can be a couple of years in prison. Arson can be, like, fucking up to, 10 years in prison if it kills people. That sort of shit. Terrorism, like, they can hold you indefinitely if you're, like, a fucking terrorist, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to look it up. But, like, how is that exactly not what they're doing? Like, it's seditious conspiracy, clearly. If they're all being funded by, let's say, various third parties and proxy third parties that all tie back to, let's say, Soros. Like, that's seditious conspiracy. They can all be charged with that. And, like, seditious conspiracy is a maximum of 20 years in prison. If you got some fucking dipshit leftist terrorist Antifa member and you laid the fucking boot into them when you caught them to break them, then you interrogate them and you threaten them with the maximum of 20 years for seditious conspiracy, and then you offer them a deal to say where they got all their money and shit from. Leftists are like fucking cowards. like, there is no reason that they're not betraying immediately the fucking third parties that are funding them. Like, I'm it's alleged that it's Soros, but some people have made stronger claims than that. But, like, you could immediately leverage seditious conspiracy here. Like, I don't know how hard it is to prove in court. Maybe it's really hard to prove in court, and that's why they're not doing it. But Discovery, you've got all their phone records, you'd have all their bank records, you'd have all the payments from third parties, you'd have a paper trail of money potentially leading to the perpetrators of the seditious conspiracy, all the funding and everything like that. That's like fucking 20 years in prison. If you did this fucking right, like, it'd be pretty easy to do. It's just that the left has gotten away with it for so fucking long. Like, you can make a case that the BBC and CNN, like, you can make a case that they're all fucking conducting wire fraud with all their fucking leftist shit, with all their shit with Black Lives Matter and all that sort of thing. Like, not much of that money went to the black community. A lot of it went to the fucking organisers and shit. It was all like a grift. And it all went to, like, fucking the organisers' mansions and all that sort of shit. Like, it was a grift from the start. Like, that they were on CNN, BBC, all that sort of shit, saying, look, donate to this cause, it's a good cause, it'll go to black people or whatever. That sounds an awful lot to me like fucking wire fraud. Like, I guess you'd have to prove, again, through, phone records and all that sort of shit, that they knowingly lied, because that's part of it. They have to knowingly have deceived in order to have committed wire fraud. But, like, all of that's... Ooh, you've got mainstream, taxpayer-funded media, well, taxpayer-funded in Australia with ABC, that sort of shit. Mainstream media, like, funding this shit and, like, presenting this shit in a deceptive light to get people to donate money to it. Like, the whole Gaza thing's similar, right? Like, a ton of the people... I guess not where Muslims are concerned, because Muslims kind of, back terrorism, and they say terrorism is, I think it's like more than half say terrorism is, like, sometimes justified, depending on what is probably just the spread of Islam. Like, but the majority of people that would donate to causes for Palestine and that would expect to see their money going to the Palestinian people, the ones that are allegedly starving. And, like, that whole situation, okay, they're given 7 months of aid with the few trucks that Israel let through, and they're weirdly running out right now. Where's the aid going? Like, it's pretty obvious where the aid's going. Hamas is seizing it and selling it in order to fund their war effort. Now you've got this global wire fraud push to get more aid in there, and they're using dead baby urgency to do it. Okay, that's just going to give Hamas more aid to seize and sell to fund their war effort more. Like, that's clearly what that is. That seems to me to be the definition of wire fraud with these fucking mainstream media fucking cunts. And the UN as well. Like, the whole UN. I guess when you're heavily influenced with veto power from, like, 50 Muslim majority nations, most of which actually fund terrorism, you're going to be fairly biased one way, but that's like the definition of wire fraud. It seems wacky to me. Like, all of this shit happens, like, and it's all on the left. Like, there would be instances of it on the right, but all of this shit so far seems to just be on the left, and it seems to be fucking pretty bad, really. Pretty egregious. In terms of just domestic terrorism, you've got people committing arson, property damage, and assault on Tesla owners, like just burning electric vehicles. That definition of terrorism, the assumption there is that the Tesla and electric vehicle owners back Elon Musk, who is allegedly on the right wing. I think still is, like, even though, him and Trump, he had a falling out. But that's terrorism. That's domestic terrorism. That's the definition of terrorism. That's brown shirt behavior. That's fascist behavior from fucking, fascist Italy and Nazi Germany. That's assault for the wrong political reasons. That's the deliberate instilling of fear and terror for your safety. Like, that's the definition of terrorism right there. Like, why are none of these cunts getting charged with that? Like, that's straight up World War II, fascist Italy, Nazi Germany behaviour. And then you've got these giant fucking mobs of masked Antifa people. Can we just say, unless it's like an area where it's really cold, you don't get to wear a fucking mask? Because wearing a mask isn't like committing like assault and that sort of shit. That's pretty clearly some sort of fucking terrorism, right? It should be kind of illegal to wear a mask during a protest, but I guess if you just have like 200 people turning up to a protest and they're all wearing masks, it's very hard to arrest them all. And that's kind of what they're relying on. They're relying on low capacity for police and that sort of deal. But like, police can still crush them. Like, how long are these organisations really going to last if the police just, you know, fire a bunch of tear gas into the crowds and then just open up with rubber bullets on them? Like, that's kind of what they're doing, and with their paintball guns with pepper balls in them, which is fucking hilarious. Just fucking drilling them. And then there was a video of an Australian reporter getting fucking drilled in the leg with one. It's fucking hilarious. You can see in the video the guy lines her up too. That's fucking funny shit. But like, and then you've got all the fucking leftists and Islamic so-called journalists in Palestine, which have like, you know, clear links to Hamas, and any journalism there is obviously heavily linked to Hamas. If you're publishing anti-Hamas things, you just get snatched off the street. This is on the left as well, largely, because the left has, you know, decided to make a pet project of Israel-Palestine, because apparently Israel is occupying Palestine. How you can be arguing for the sovereignty of a fucking terrorist state that starts a guerrilla terror proxy war and beheads, you know, children, and beheads, you know, a random Thai guy in that video, like for no reason really, besides their, you know, terrible death cult nonsense. Yeah, it's just wacky, and it's all on the left, and it all goes unpunished. It is insane to me. Like, all of these are definitionally word for word what the left is doing, and they match perfectly with what the crimes describe. And you get discovery in like, what, a handful of cases, 5 cases, you'd be able to work out the full network of funding behind the terrorism. And you'd be able to solve it pretty much straight away. It just seems crazy to me that it hasn't been done yet. Like, people always seem to go really soft on Antifa, and there's like a bit of a conspiracy here that it's because they're government paid agitators, you know, committing false flags and that shit to push policy which is more advantageous to one side or another. But yeah, like, it's just wacky, like how much of that is gonna happen. And like, when it comes to like assault and violence, like, you're allowed, in my opinion, you're allowed to defend your life. That'd just be self-defense. Like, if a mob, you know, tries to stop your car and drag you from your car because you've got an electric vehicle, and you've got a gun in the car, you don't know whether that mob's going to stomp you to death or not. You don't know whether they're going to accidentally kill you with strikes to the head. As far as I'm concerned, you could fucking open fire on that mob, do a fucking Kyle Rittenhouse and shoot a lot of them. And like, almost certainly, like, if that happened, almost certainly, like, at least a third of them are going to be pedophiles, because they're all fucking evil leftist, you know, communist agitators. They're all going to have criminal records. Like, you don't get people doing this shit that are good, lawful abiding, good people involved with church communities and all that sort of shit. Nah, it's usually leftist agitators which have, you know, got criminal records, they've got weird, shady ways of making money, that do this shit, right? Like, it's one thing to go to a demonstration or a protest. It's another to rock up at night with your own ski mask so they can't identify you, with Molotovs and bricks, and try and barricade roads to prevent freedom of movement of other people. Which, by the way, if you're doing that, as far as I'm concerned, that's terrorism as well. You should be hit with, like, the maximum penalty for that as well. I mean, just because it's not resulting in physical damage to people, you're still fucking with other people's freedom of movement, which is like it's like a human right. You're not allowed to detain people. And, like, that's what they've done on college campuses as well. They've formed, like, weird circles around people. Or they've, you know, trapped them in rooms with mobs with threats of violence. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that's, you know, unlawfully detaining, like, holding hostage people. Like, that alone should be, like, a fairly big criminal charge. Like, that should be terrorism. Particularly when it's organised in, like, a mob. Like, a semi-organised mob with an ideological motive. Like, that should be considered far left terrorism, but it's never punished. like that should immediately be punished. Like, it's so wacky. Like, depending on the terrorism charge, it's like 3 years to life, right? Like, I'm not saying put someone in prison for life for being part of a mob or going along with a mob that is intentionally trapping, let's say, Jewish students in a classroom because of Israel-Palestine. You don't give them life, but fucking hell, if you threaten them with 3 years, you'd find out a lot. And if you got discovery when you went to court, you'd also find a lot with electronic records, particularly locations and stuff, and where money comes from certain things. The organisers of them, which in some instances would be the professors, there'd be like an electronic trail, for sure, and there'd be like a money trail from where the money comes from, for sure. And, like, they're hard to set up. Like, how many of those are you going to find before you just put the kibosh on the whole thing? Like, and why isn't it being done? Like, why is it we always see these fucking leftist shits doing all this terrorism shit, seemingly never getting charged for it? Like, is it hard to prove in court? I would imagine if you got fucking bank records and you've got weird payments, and you've got, like, a bunch of different weird payments from the same place, it'd be pretty easy for the fucking FBI and shit to do, you know, proper charges for terrorism and shit like that. It'd be pretty hard to deny payment all from the same institution without a described link to them or a described service or something like that. And when you're talking about that shit, they're probably not paying taxes on that shit either. So you'd be able to get them for, like, tax evasion and shit for that as well. Particularly if all these leftists are, like, unemployed and not declaring it on their unemployment and all that sort of shit, which I assume they need to do. Like, there's ways to do it, and just none of them are being tackled. Like, the easiest would be, like, all these leftists are just, like, immoral worms, right? You put pressure on one of them, they're gonna break. And when they break badly. They're fucking traitors. Like, just simply they're traitors to the US as it stands now. Right? They'd be even worse traitors to their cause if their physical health and that sort of thing was threatened. But, like, they're not gonna be loyal to these people. Like, I'm just surprised it hasn't been done. Like, just do it. Like, the slightest bit of pressure, I reckon it collapses. The slightest bit of pressure. Like, I guess it should also be said that the reason why the leftists are trying so hard to keep all the illegals in the country of America is probably because it's their voting base. It's not any moral cause, right? Because, like, you jump the line, you're an illegal immigrant, you come here illegally, you pay coyotes or, you know, human traffickers to get you in illegally. you're not a good person, regardless. Like, fair enough, the country you came from was probably fucking shit. And like, yeah, look, fucking rough go. But
Active camouflage charge. Jam clear.
you're giving money to human traffickers. Human traffickers don't just traffic people, they traffic children and shit as well for, like, you know, sexual causes and that sort of shit, which is fucking horrible. Like, you're giving money to some pretty fucking evil people when you do that shit. But, like, it's probably all their voting base. It's probably, like, largely a leftist, you know, part of the leftist voting base to fucking do that shit. Like, all the illegals there, you know, with no voter ID, because voter ID is racist and all that sort of deal. Fuck. The left is just fucking morally bankrupt. Absolutely fucking horrible. They are globally as well. They are in Australia. It's just, no one ever calls out leftist terrorism. Leftist terrorism doesn't seem to exist to the media. And probably worse than that, all the grifters and frauds and shit. They commit wire fraud and never get called on that either, especially in mainstream taxpayer-funded media. Like, it's pretty fucked that the taxpayer is funding what is essentially wire fraud with all these leftist causes which are, they're absolutely fucked. Like, the Israel-Palestine, like, I've been getting hit with ads on YouTube for some sort of, you know, Islamic donation due to some sort of Islamic holiday that says it's going to, you know, feed the people of Gaza. People of Gaza should have 7 months worth of shit left still. I think it was that Israel said that left, like, let through the, you know, aid trucks. They should still have shit left. Where did it go? Like, it's obvious, like, Hamas has, you know, seized it and stolen it and sold it, and using that to, you know, try and smuggle weapons and shit in, to continue to fire, you know, rockets and shit at Israel and attack Israel, all that sort of shit. Guerrilla attack the occupying forces and that sort of deal. But, like, there's no doubt in my mind that if you done, like, a cursory a very slightly cursory investigation of all these Islamic charities that are donating to the people of Gaza, you would find, like, a massive link between those and Hamas and those and terrorism. And, like, Hamas is a terrorist state. It's not like it's not a terrorist state. It is declared that. Like, they attacked and killed civilians. There is video evidence of them doing that. There is video evidence of them fucking trying to behead a Thai guy with a garden hoe. Just because they're fucking, you know, disgusting Islamists. It's just wacky. Like, leftist terrorism never gets called out. Like, let's let's call it what it is. It is terrorism. It's not terrorism. But I guess it gets, like, even worse if, like, you consider, okay, they've broken the law. They're clearly committing wire fraud, conspiracy, seditious conspiracy, terrorism. They're all clearly committing that. All of it's on video. You've got their faces, all that sort of shit. You've got their organisers. You've got their funding and everything like that. I guess it just doesn't fucking matter if you got, like, a dogshit governor who's, like, just a corrupt Chinese plant just trying to destroy America, or a fucking corrupt prosecutor or DA or whoever who chooses what they do and don't prosecute and has, like, this leftist terrorist bias that just says, no, we're never gonna like prosecute any you know, form of leftist terrorism at all. But, like, it is widespread. Like, the stats, there's, like, a lot of people who claim that there's a shitload of far-right terrorism, and I guess there'd be a couple of groups of it, of, like, you know, legitimate Nazis with swastikas, tattoos and all that sort of shit. But you've got on the left multiple examples of $1 billion worth of damage riots that just, if you counted like one of them, the statistics would be, far left terrorist, greatest threat in America. But like, they're never counted that way, and they're never like sort of prosecuted that way. Like, it'd be like,
Run distraction efforts as long as you can.
I wouldn't say tied. I guess Islamic people still do more terrorism because they do like 80% of global terrorism. But if you started counting like far left terrorism, like all these riots that burn shit down, burning Teslas down and all that sort of thing, as proper terrorism rather than, vandalism. Like, arson's a serious crime. You can get years in prison for that, particularly if you're like committing arson on buildings and burning buildings down. And like you start killing people, you can get multiple years in prison for arson, right? The left are just like burning down these Teslas, and the lithium batteries in the Teslas kind of go off like bombs, like particularly when water or air hits the battery, hits the exposed battery, because it's lithium. Lithium's highly reactive, that sort of deal. They can fucking blow up. I think it's more like a flashbang than a legitimate like explosion with shrapnel that can, throw shrapnel everywhere and kill you and everything. But I guess a lot of it's proximity. Like, if you put like a flashbang in like a tin or something, and like a thin lid tin, like it could theoretically blow up the tin and throw shrapnel out, which is like just razor sharp metal moving really fast. Like, it could kill you. I'm assuming it's a similar principle behind like a Tesla lithium battery. It's in a confined space. I'm assuming the Tesla's metal's not that thick. Like, in theory, it could explode and throw shrapnel out and fucking kill people. Yeah, all as a result of arson or whatever. So, like, that. Burning Teslas, like, that should be considered a more serious crime than it is. But, like, just like a really quick solution to this problem, you just snatch everybody, like, as soon as you rock up, that's wearing a mask, that's covering their identity. You charge them immediately. Like, if we can put through the lady in the UK that said, burn down the migrant hotels, I don't want to pay for them or whatever. Like, if you can charge her within 24 hours because she's a far-right terrorist or whatever, and then you can't seem to charge people agitating arson, violence, proper brown shirt behaviour, you can't charge them in 24 hours. Get their bank records, get their phone records, cross-reference those to find people funding them, giving them weird sums of money. Or even have the FBI involved if they're getting paid, let's say, by proxy through family members or cousins or friends or whatever. Let's say they've got some sort of, leftist quartermaster, and they go whenever they need money for certain things, and that leftist quartermaster gives them cash. You put pressure on them, you're going to find out who these, quartermasters or whoever they are, who, supply them all the shit that they need, are. Like, it's very doable. And it'd be very common sense. Like, yeah, I'm just surprised it hasn't been done. Maybe they're really good at hiding it. They do it through, like, a fucking super impressive spy system. Maybe it's just that the governors and the DAs and shit are corrupt. It's fucking, no one's looking for it. No one gives a shit about it. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, who knows? Like, I suppose if they did, just start snatching people associated with the riots and stuff, like, immediately a couple of governors would get arrested. And even though the governors appear to be complicit with all the riots and all that sort of shit, it does look a lot like right-wing persecution of political enemies. It does look a fair bit like Pinochet immediately. Which is like, okay, that's pretty unacceptable. You can't really have that. You can't really have that going. That's not great. Like, if immediately you just, okay, Maxine Waters, she's rocked up, she's been denied entry into like an ICE facility, it looks very suspicious. She's going to see military face to face and saying, don't shoot anyone, you don't need to shoot anyone, and all this sort of shit. She's looking very complicit with all the riots. I'll just say that. She's looking extremely complicit. Like, as is Gavin Newsom, they're not really doing their duty well enough to prevent all the violence and assault and arson that's going on. But if you like snatch them two immediately, you would have like the left immediately say, oh, it's political persecution, he's like the Nazis, oh, he's going after his political opponents. Like, just forgetting the fact that that's pretty much all the left has done like ever to Trump. Like, literally went after him for fucking years. Couldn't find any wrongdoing whatsoever eventually. Had to charge him civilly with a complicit court with a seemingly allegedly crazy lady, saying he raped her. Yeah, like, yikes. And like, that's the best that they could do. They couldn't get him in prison, they couldn't get him on tax evasion or anything like that. And like, I would assume if you're trying hard enough, it's pretty easy to get people on tax evasion, particularly if they're fucking multi-millionaires. Like, you would be able to find write-offs somewhere, right? You would like, somewhere in their taxes. But yeah, nah. Apparently Trump's pretty squeaky clean. And then you've got Elon claiming he's on the Epstein list. Like, really? If he was on the Epstein list, they would have snatched him for pedophilia from Epstein's Island. Like, by now, surely. Like, I mean, I guess it's possible. But, you know, Trump's on record pretty early saying Epstein likes him young in a very public interview. Like, if you were complicit with all these crimes and everything like that, would you really be drawing attention to it like Trump did in that interview? And I guess people will just say Trump's an idiot. He's not an idiot. Like, he's president. He ran a campaign. He won the presidency for America, which is pretty fucking impressive, particularly when you've got multiple big social media enterprises on your side, censoring shit, trying to get you to win, which are the Democrats. And Trump still won. So, I mean, who's really the idiot? I guess it's a lot simpler to tell the truth than it is to just, you know, lie. And you can make an argument that a successful lie is more intelligent than just, you know, bluntly telling the truth. I think bluntly telling the truth is the way to go, though. Just morally speaking. And that's probably why people want him to lead. Like, you'd have to be an idiot to... You'd have to be, like, a real fucking idiot to trust, like, a really effective liar. like... What's easy to trust? Someone that just tells the truth, bluntly? Or a really effective, deceptive liar? Like, who would you want more to be your representative?